take whatever questions you have and answer those, and then sign off for the night. We'll reflect, see how we did, and we'll try it again. So the first thing I want to show you are the results from our thought exchange that we did. And if you remember a few weeks ago, I sent you a link and asked you a question about how things were going with online instruction and all of that. We got a tremendous response from the community, and I very, very much appreciate that. One of the things that I wanted to be able to do now is I'm going to share my screen and hopefully be able to show you some of the results that we had. And I'm going to pull that up here in just a second. And like I said, I'm working through some of these things just like everybody else is. So if you're frustrated at home as a mom or a dad or a student trying to figure out how to use everything that's on here, join the club. Some of the same things happen to me as well. So what I'm doing right now is just going to the application that I want to use and going to hopefully get an opportunity here to bring it up. Let me try it again. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And what you're looking at right now is actually it's called the Discover Dashboard for the Thought Exchange survey that we did. And what I want to kind of focus your attention on a little bit here is if you look at the number of participants, we had 569 people participate in the survey that we had. And if you don't remember the question, it was school has been taking place remotely for several weeks now. What's going well for you and what can we improve upon? And it was nice to see the number of participants. And it was also nice to see that of the 569 people that took an opportunity to log in, 516 of you were able to put a thought in there or tell us what you thought about that. And then as I had mentioned before, when you first went into the program, you were given a certain number of stars to be able to use, or likes, if you will. And this community used a total of 12,587 ratings or likes or stars. And what that did is it took the comments that had the most stars or likes and it rose those to the top and it created a list. So down here below, it kind of tells us that we had 282 participants who shared thoughts. We had 269 rated thoughts. And then we had 309 people that explored thoughts. So some of you took some of the comments that were given and you maybe didn't put a star on one, but you certainly had a chance to read them. And then what I get to do over here and then share with you, this is kind of the dashboard on the left-hand side that I'm able to use. The first piece is called a word cloud. And what a word cloud does is it takes all of the words that were used in every single comment that we were given and it tallies them. So if one word got used 300 times and another word got used 100 times, the word that got used 300 times will be in bigger typeface or bigger font than the word that was used less. And what I was really proud of, I'm going to pull this up, what I was really proud of here was when this word wall was generated, I want you to take a look at the words that were the largest. And when you see the word amazing, that's what I think about all of our employees and all of you, all of our students, everybody who has been working as hard as they can from that date in March till now and still going. What it gives me the opportunity to be able to do is I can then click on any one of these words. So let's just say I click on the word amazing since it's the largest one. And what it does is it pulls up every single comment that had the word amazing, and it shows us out of a possible 5 stars, how many stars that comment was given. And one of the things that made me most proud as a superintendent is that teachers and employees, our technology crew, our food service crew, our custodians, everybody were called amazing. And the second thing, because they truly are, the second thing was communication and how good the communication has been. And that's important to me also as a superintendent to make sure that you're informed. One of the reasons why we're using this new channel is because I thought as we start communicating more, I wanted to give you a different platform to be able to communicate with me or with the school district. One that as long as you have internet access, you'd be able to get to YouTube and be able to have that. So we have, communication is a big and Responsiveness was another piece. And so just pieces that we're very, very proud of. One of the things that I've learned over the years is it's certainly okay to take all of the compliments that you get when you're doing something, but you also have to focus on some of the growth areas that we have. And so I don't want you to think that I'm ignoring some of the pieces that are some of the smaller words like stressful and hard and that kind of thing, and overwhelmed, I think would be the three smaller words that I would draw out. Because as I talk to parents and I talk to students and I talk to our staff, being stressed and having things be a little more challenging than normal, and that feeling of being overwhelmed every now and then, those are real feelings that people have. Heck, I get those feelings too every now and then. But I think it's important for us to focus every day on being as positive as we can. And so what the next link is here are the actual thoughts. So these are the actual thoughts that you generated, and they're ranked from, you'll see down here, they're ranked from number one thought down to 491 total thoughts that were in there. And so the thought that got the highest number of ratings for all of us was that people love being a part of this school and community. And I can echo that. This community has been amazing. There's been no sense of entitlement. Everybody has really had their noses to the grindstone. But at the same time, they've been very sensitive to what's going on at home with families and in our community and people who are needy and all of that. Just the outpouring of generosity and the outpouring of care from everybody has been absolutely remarkable. And I'm very humbled and proud to be the superintendent of a school that's in the center of a community that's like that. It's fantastic. And I also like to see here, the second most rated comment is people are very, very happy that they're in Whitman, and so am I. The teachers have been great, and the communication has been great. Communication. And the one piece here that kind of gave me a pause for a few minutes, we're able to hang out more as a family and do more things together. Always good to be close and get together. I think that's a very important comment. You'll hear me say a lot, and I try to do as much as I could when my children were still at home, having dinner at the same time every night as much as we could, just to be together as a family, because people just get so darn busy in our families. And what COVID has done in some regards is it's kind of slowed us down a little bit, and that's been okay. And this comment to be ranked 7th out of 491, being able to hang out more, I think is pretty darn cool. And then we go on. I will tell you that it takes until about comment 200 out of 491 to find some pieces, and that's where a little bit of that teachers and students and parents feeling stressed out a little bit. We did have some growing pains like every other school did, getting used to the technology. A lot of you out there who have internet access, maybe from Frontier, are just really struggling with getting on the internet. It has nothing to do with your socioeconomic status or anything. You just plain old can't get on the internet all the time, and especially if you have multiple people in the house. And that's been something that's been challenging for us to try to get through this spring. So what we do is we're collecting all the different thoughts that are in here, and I've already sent these out to our school employees, our Board of Education, and our school administrators, all 491, just so that they can kind of sift through and see in their area of expertise where we can do some work to make things better. Because as we know, we have no idea what's going to happen in the fall, and if we end up working remotely from the fall, we know that some things have to be better, and we can spend the summertime taking a look at that and making things better for everybody. So again, very, very proud of what everybody did. First of all, the actual support that you did by taking the time to fill out the survey, and then the results that we had really are giving us a lot of information to work with as we head into the end of the school year in the summer, and to see what next school year brings. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and get back to this screen. And I do want to make sure that we've tried to keep things for our seniors I would guess as, quote, normal as possible in an absolutely abnormal situation. Jen Taft, our high school principal, and her advisors and people have done a very, very nice job, I think, of trying to recognize our seniors as best they can. I'm going to share my screen again here. And again, let me share this. And, Amy Carroll, who works in my office, actually, Amy deserves a big thank you as well. I handle my own Twitter. So if you're following me on Twitter, first of all, thank you for following. But that's the only piece of social media that I'm directly responsible for. Amy Carroll, who works in our office and wears about 1,000 hats, when I arrived in July, added one more hat, and that was to help out with our social media presence and ways for us to communicate. So she and I meet and talk on a regular basis and decide, what are some things that should be going out on our website? What are some things that should be going out on our Facebook or on our Instagram, as well as the school's Twitter account? And one of the things that she did, which I thought was fantastic, is she created a wonderful, first of all, slideshow of our top 10. And then today, she created some great templates that are going to help to recognize not only our valedictorian and salutatorian, so congratulations to Maya and Robbie, but she's also working on templates for these for our academic top 10 as well, so that if there's moms and dads or grandparents or family members or friends who want to have kind of keepsakes to hang on to, I know they'll be in a digital world, but at least they look very professional coming out of Marcus Whitman, and we're very, very proud of our students and all that they're able to accomplish. So that's been very, very cool as well to see. One of the pieces that I've been asked several times, I put it out in a couple of emails, but hang on one second. Our lights, and trying to save electricity, our lights go off every about 10 minutes or so if I don't move around enough. I sent out a couple of emails over the past week or so to kind of talk about when the last day of classes were going to be, and that's on this next slide. I just want to give you a reminder that the last day of school for students is on June 15th, and the last day of, I put students twice, my fault. And the last day, so the last day of school for students is June 15th. That second slide, which is my fault, I get 10 demerits, should read, the day of graduation is June 26th. I'll make a correction to that. So right now we're still planning on a tentative graduation day of June 26th, if everything holds up for us. I was going to try to show you a video that Spectrum News came out and did for us, and I'm going to look down to, I'm going to stop my screen share for a second, and I'm going to look back down and see if I can get it. I had some trouble getting to it earlier today because it was something that was on the internet, and I think Spectrum moved where it was located. And when that happens, it gives me a hard time trying to pull it back up. But I'm going to see what I can do here and see if maybe we'll get lucky and it'll work for us. If not, I'll certainly explain the whole thing. And here we go. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm just going to play this very, very short clip so you can have an idea of what we're hoping for graduation. And I want to give an advanced shout out to Kayla Farrell, Senior. I don't know how the reporter found her, but they put her on the spot, and she did a remarkable job talking to the reporter, kind of representing her senior class about graduation. So I'm going to play this real quick for you, if it works.
A school district in Ontario County is eyeing the possibility of an in-person graduation ceremony for high school seniors. I'm Lowell Rose with details on what that ceremony could look like.
We have everything on the table. I think, our first set of plans that we have sent to the Department of Health for consideration have us using our football field.
If that plan is approved, the Marcus Whitman graduating seniors would be spaced at least 6 feet apart on a football field, with only 3 school officials on the stage and teachers at least 6 feet apart as well.
We'll be using our PA system, and we will have a live stream at the same time. And for parents, we'll have to limit the number of tickets that might be available, and we'll have to stagger when parents are able to come up and see their child actually graduates.
One Marcus Whitman student graduating in a few weeks is excited about the potential for an in-person graduation.
It'd be really nice to have an in-person graduation because I just want that kind of accomplishment feeling to walk across the stage with like all my friends being there and my family behind me supporting me.
So far, teachers and district officials have dropped off signs celebrating seniors in the district. If an in person graduation is not approved by the health department and state officials, the district says its plan B is to have a virtual graduation.
I mean, I wouldn't want it to be that way, but if that's the only way that we're going to be able to get our diplomas and have a graduation, then I guess that's what we have to do.
The graduating senior has this message for other students facing uncertainty over a graduation ceremony.
Just hang in there, because we're all going to get through it one way or another, and we're going to move on with our lives. Like, this isn't the end of it. If anything, it's just the beginning.
The Marcus Whitman Central School District is still planning to have graduation on June 26th and is waiting for guidance from the health department and state to determine if it will be in person or virtual. In Rushville, Lowell Rose, Spectrum News.
So as you can, I thought Kayla did a phenomenal job. And I also asked the reporter, I said, I asked the guy if he could please do a cutaway shot with me wearing my mask. A, because I'm a Bills fan and I wanted to show that off, but B, because I didn't want people to think that there I am out in public without wearing a mask. I was socially distanced and all that when I was on camera, but I wanted to make sure that we had that. And also a funny story about the dandelions that are out in the field. I've been a superintendent for 20 years. So back in the beginning, you could still use chemicals and stuff on the fields and all that. So if I ever saw a dandelion, I went crazy. It's probably been 7 or 8 years since we've been able to use chemicals on school property. So we have some dandelions growing out there, but our grounds crew does a great job of cutting them down when they need to. So, but that's kind of the thought about, graduation. We would love to be able to do some kind of in-person graduation that's going to be socially distanced. We do keep getting emails almost every day from different officials that are telling us, no mass gatherings, and we have to have, in order for us to have a gathering, it's got to be 10 or fewer people, socially distanced, in masks and all that. We had a chance to kind of test that out yesterday when we did caps and gowns for seniors and test out a process. And Jen Taft and her people did a great job with that. So I'm going to share my screen one more time here, and I'm going to bring it back to the little presentation that I made that, of course, had an error in it. It drives me nuts when I make an error. I want to talk about the school budget vote a little bit. Shireen Benedict is my secretary, and I should say administrative assistant, and she's also the person who's our Board of Education clerk. What she did today is she's got, I believe it's 6,583, if I have the number correct, 6,583, I believe, ballots went to the Rochester Post Office today to be mailed out. We got word that the Rochester Post Office is on a little bit of a delay. We're hearing that they're on about a 2-day delay getting mail out. So in an email that I put out yesterday, I just asked people to be patient. If you don't have a ballot in hand and think you should have a ballot in hand, by next Thursday, a week from today, I would ask you to call Shireen Benedict at 585-554-4848, extension 1805. And what she'll do, she'll take your name and she'll make sure that you're supposed to get a ballot. And if you're supposed to get a ballot, she'll make sure that you get one. One of the things that'll be really helpful for us is if you have adult children who are living with you, which has happened now with COVID, and the children have been living with you for longer than 30 days, they may not have voted in last year's election or in last year's school vote, but they would be eligible voters. So if you call the school to ask for a ballot, you can't just say, I need 3 more ballots because my kids are home. You're going to have to give Shireen their names so that she can look them up and make sure that they are qualified voters. And as long as they're qualified voters, they will get a ballot. So the other important thing too, I have it bulleted here. The ballots must be at the district office by 5 p.m. on June 9th. That doesn't mean postmarked. That means it has to be in Shireen's hands by 5 p.m. on June 9th. There's a couple of different ways that you can return your ballot. We're putting postage paid on the ballots, so you can just drop it in the mail if you want to. If you're going to do that, please, as soon as you get that ballot, take the 5 minutes, mark what you're going to mark, sign the ballot. It's critical that you sign the ballot, otherwise we can't count it, and then get that ballot right back in the mail. If you would like, You can drop the ballots off when you're picking up breakfast and lunch, if you do that, or dinners on Tuesday, Thursday. And we're also going to have a drop box outside of the district office where you can put those ballots as well. And then if that doesn't work and you want to stop in personally, you can stop in between the hours of 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. Monday through Friday to the district office and turn those in as well. Counting of the ballots will be quite a production. We don't know how many ballots we're going to get back out of the 6,500. So we are going to have an election official, and we'll also have 12 ballot counters that'll be here. We're going to have them socially distanced in our cafeteria. And what we're going to do is we're going to do some professional development for them next week when we have them in on how to count ballots and a process that we're going to use to make sure that it is that things happen as well as possible and as quickly as possible. I really don't want our ballot counters to have to be here till 1 a.m. counting ballots on June 9th. So hopefully we'll have a process that works. And as soon as we have a result or an outcome from those ballots, I'll be sure to reach out with a robocall and an email, and we'll put it on our social media and all that as well. So if you have questions about that, you're getting the budget document is actually on our website, mwcsd.org. We mailed out the postcard. We have another mailing coming out with more budget information in it. And if you like this format that you're seeing right now, you can hop on here again next Tuesday, the 26th. I'm going to be doing a complete budget presentation from, I believe it starts at 6 or 6:30. I'll get the time out, and you'll be able to see the entire budget presentation that way. It'll just be something that I've already put out, but if you'd like to see me kind of talk through it, and if you have questions, that'll be an opportunity for you to do that as well. So probably the biggest question on everybody's mind is what's going to happen this summer? What's going to happen next school year? Are we going to have school? Are we going to have sports? Are we going to be able to have field band? I've got the exact same questions. Okay. The Centers for Disease Control puts out different guidelines, as quickly as they can. Those guidelines have certainly changed from March 12th to now. So what I have on this slide is the returning to school protocol as of today. And there's 4 major things that every school is going to have to work with in order to even think about having a plan for reopening. The first thing are masks. Every single correspondence from the Centers for Disease Control has said that we're going to have masks in use every day, that we're going to have to practice social distancing. We're going to have lots of hand washing, and we're going to have to do a lot of disinfecting. So Dan Blankenberg, who is just absolutely amazing, and his crew, which are also amazing, he's already ordered, we have on the way about 10,000 masks right now. And we also have a lot of different cleaner disinfecting type products, as well as hand washing products on the way. So we have to also have protocols in place for what happens on a school bus and all of that. You might notice that I did not put taking people's temperatures every single day. That was something that was on the CDC directive, I believe, 2 weeks ago. And the one that I saw most recently, which was today, had that it said take temperatures when possible. So I kept that off the list for today, but I want you to know that we have ordered infrared thermometers as well, just in case they put that back on their list of requirements. Now, with these 4 things, the masks, the social distancing, the hand washing, the disinfecting, we don't know what we don't know. So the governor is supposed to let us know what he would like to have happen for a possible startup of school in the fall. So I think one of the traps that we get into sometimes is we read too much. I think there's such a thing as reading too much. And if you're like me, I've read school reopening plans from different states, from different countries. And if you take a look at what those reopening plans are and try to figure out how to make those things happen in school buildings that were built in the late 60s, you're going to find that you can't check all of the boxes in those reopening plans in a lot of schools in New York State in order to reopen properly. So what has to happen probably is a coordinated effort between the Centers for Disease Control, the New York State Department of Health, and the governor's office to really pare down what are the main requirements going to be able to get school open safely, and then how do we do that. So to that end, I sent all of you via email and on our website a link to another thought exchange, but this one was being put on by the New York State Education Department. They're collecting information from every single person they possibly can to see what their thoughts are about the school reopening in the fall, and then they're gonna pair that with what the Department of Health, the Centers for Disease Control, and the governor's office say, and hopefully give us some parameters that we can work with. Frankly, I don't want a black and white plan. I would like something that's a little more gray, because I think each school district has its own culture and has its own way of doing business, but we also want to be as safe as possible. So what I would prefer as a superintendent is I would prefer some overarching guidelines that we have to follow. And then I would like to get my teams in a room or virtually and figure out with those guidelines, how can we get school reopened safely? So what I would say for you right now, if you're a mom or a dad or a student or a teacher or an employee, I would say you've just got to try to work with what you can control. And right now, what we can control is getting from right now to the end of this school year while we await word on what the guidelines are going to be for next school year. So if you're thinking about fall sports or field band or extracurriculars, I think you have to put those things on hold in your head for right now and just focus on the now. The word that we got today, while we were handing out dinners actually, was that there will be no in-person summer school this summer, that if there's going to be a summer school, it will probably just be what's called extended school year, and that's for our students who have disabilities. And that will be held virtually at best. So we're waiting for some more guidance on that. That will be coming out next week. And as soon as I have any information about any kind of summer school, I will definitely get that word out to you as soon as possible. So, again, I think what we need to do is stay as positive as we can, understand we're in a day-by-day situation. Let me worry about getting those guidelines, and then we'll sit down and figure out the best way to make those guidelines work in a school environment. I want our employees to be safe. I want your kids to be safe. And that's how it's going to roll, as far as I'm concerned, as the superintendent, when they give us some guidelines for whatever is going to happen in the fall. Okay. And obviously there'll be questions that are coming here and there. If you want to read the stuff that other parents in other states put out on Facebook or whatever, I think that's okay. But I look at those things and I tuck them away, because I just don't know what New York State is going to have. And I don't want to get all worked up about something that's happening in Texas when we may do something completely opposite in New York. And I would advise you to do the same. So I can't thank you enough. It's I was driving to Geneva today to get a donation of bread from Freihofer's, like 500 loaves of bread. And I got back to the shop, and our food service workers immediately, climbed in the truck, put everything where it belonged, got ready for dinners tonight that we handed out. And your community effort, I just can't say enough. I've been in some different school districts and then in some different communities, and I just can't say enough how proud I am of where I work and who I work with. And that includes you as community members. Just to kind of give you a small way to measure that, our dinner program is something that we have chosen to do. It's not something that we're going to get reimbursed for, but we have families who need dinner as well as the breakfast and lunch. And I reached out to the community to see if they would maybe make some either financial or food donations. And I'm very proud to say that the amount of donations, which is around $16,000 as of right now, is matching what it's costing us in labor and food to be able to put on the dinners that we have every Tuesday and Thursday night. And so that's just a big thank you to everybody, our custodians, our teachers, and heck, you got to take a look at what our students are doing too. We're asking them to do some pretty unusual stuff, and we got this off the ground without having great plans in place. No school did. And we can only take the results and things that we saw from our thought exchange, the things that we'll see between now and graduation, and just make ourselves better. Because, you know, the way I look at it is, if we end up in quarantine or isolation again in the fall or winter or whatever happens, you know, we've got to be better prepared for that. And one of the hats that I wear as a superintendent is also the person that reaches out to our elected officials in places like Frontier and ask them to, you know, let's give our constituents and our community members the tools that they need in order to do their jobs. And many of you are also trying to work from home and teach your kid from home and all of that. And that's just absolutely commendable. And I appreciate that. And I'll continue to use my voice as best I can to help make sure that we get some of those holes closed. We get better internet access in this community. When we talk about if we have to do any online instruction in the fall, what might that look like? How can it be better than what we're doing now, and all of that? So, and I do appreciate you reading what our building principals are putting out. For the middle school and high school, the fourth quarter has been a little bit different. And I know Dr. Cole and Ms. Taft have done a nice job of answering questions. And then also for our younger students at Valley and Gorham, just working through what you have right now. I just very, very, very much appreciate that, and keep those questions coming to the building principals so that they can provide you with some answers as well. Okay. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And let's see. So we did have somebody make a comment. Thank you, Phyllis. The budget presentation is going to begin at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. I'll have a link that's going to go out for that, and we'll make sure that we have all the information for that as well. So I'm going to sign off for now with no more questions. I very, very much appreciate you being on here and giving us an opportunity to test this. I'll take a look at the recording that we did and see if we can do anything better. And I'll hopefully see you and many more people on here next Tuesday. So I'm going to sign off for now. Thanks for all you do. Pride in the paw. Have a great Memorial weekend. And thank you to all of our people who have passed and all of our veterans that we are recognizing this weekend for their service. Thank you and have a good night.